Hello, and welcome to Galactic Life Coach with me, Mr. Lot. Today I want to talk to screenwriters, authors, and other storytellers about a little something called continuity. The dictionary definition of continuity is the maintenance of continuous action and self-consistent detail in the various scenes of a movie or a broadcast. This means when a storyteller tells their story, they are constrained by the rules already established in previous scenes in that story. A great example of continuity is in the MCU. In the movie Doctor Strange, Strange's hands are broken, and after many failed surgeries, he is left with nothing but scars. A few movies later, in Avengers Infinity War, we get a close-up of Doctor Strange's hands, and the movie makers include the scars. This is a minor detail, but shows how much the filmmakers are paying attention to the overall story. And a great example of a complete disregard for continuity is Highlander 2: The Quickening. Now, if you haven't seen the first Highlander, go and rent it. It's a great movie. But in this series, Sean Connery's character, Ramirez, is killed by the Kurgan in the first movie. But for the sake of the box office, they literally and ridiculously bring him back from the dead. The first Highlander established that the only way an immortal can die is by getting his head chopped off, and Ramirez lost his head. Then for no other reason than to get Sean Connery back in the movie, he just comes back to life. Not to mention, Highlander 2 shouldn't have been made. Connor McLeod became the last of the immortals in the first movie, and that was established as the end of the story for the immortals. Also, they retcon the immortals to be aliens. Highlander 2 sucks and maintains no continuity with the first movie. And as far as good movies go in the Highlander series, there can be only one. When making a sequel or a prequel, maintaining the plot points and the story details is key to maintaining the story as a whole. And if maintaining and continuing a story isn't the goal of a sequel or a prequel, then it's not part of the series. The movie Under Siege is an obvious copy of the Die Hard formula, but it isn't a Die Hard sequel. Because the main character is Steven Seagal, it has no ties to the Die Hard franchise. The Speed franchise got around losing Keanu Reeves by getting Sandra Bullock to reprise her role as the girlfriend. Without the continuity of Sandra Bullock attracting terrorists who like to blow up fast-moving things, Speed 2 would be just another movie like Under Siege. The same concept, but nothing to do with the story of the first movie. No continuity. Continuing a story can give a storyteller the opportunity to expand on good ideas, to make them better, or use them to elaborate on story points that were just touched on originally. But if the storyteller doesn't pay attention to continuity, it can leave the audience confused. In the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine, one of the major plot points is Wolverine and Sabretooth are brothers, and have been fighting side by side in every war for the past century. Problem is, they don't know each other in the original X-Men movie. And while this can be explained on Wolverine's part, since he can't remember his past, Sabretooth should remember his brother. But since Sabretooth doesn't remember Wolverine, and the two characters, while having the same name, look and act completely different, the audience is left to wonder if these are the same characters, and if X-Men Origins Wolverine really does connect to X-Men, the original movie. And don't even get me started on Deadpool. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to what I came here to do, and that's complain about Star Wars. The original trilogy is where continuity starts in the Star Wars universe. Within the trilogy, there are no major continuity issues. Although, there is a moment that seems weird, given the information we're handed later. But the kiss can be explained as Leia trying to make Han jealous. And she didn't know Luke was her brother, even though she said she always knew. Alright, so it's a continuity issue, or it's just really gross. But that is the only one. This kiss doesn't count, for it was for luck, not romantic. The continuity issue started in the prequels, where it seems George Lucas forgot or didn't care about the original trilogy. Whether it was forgetting that Obi-Wan said he was trained by Master Yoda, and it turns out that Qui-Gon Jinn was his master, or Princess Leia saying she remembered her mom, and then it being revealed that Padme died in childbirth. George Lucas wasn't paying attention. But the real issue started once the mouse took over. That's when character assassination and cool-looking set pieces became more important than continuity and good storytelling. If you've seen my try again breakdown of Star Wars Rogue One, you've heard me politely talk about how Darth Vader seeing the Tantive 5 leave Radiss's ship breaks the continuity and makes this conversation at the beginning of A New Hope look silly. But what I really want to talk about is a dumpster fire on Disney Plus that takes continuity and pisses all over it, just so they can drag another beloved character through the mud. No, I'm not talking about that show. There's no real continuity issues there. It's just a bad show, and I'll be going over it in depth a little later. No, I'm talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, where in 3 short episodes, it broke more continuity than all the prequel trilogy combined. Now there's a lot of controversy around the character, the Inquisitor Reva. So I'm going to quickly touch on my problem with this character, and then I'm going to explain her role in messing up the continuity. The problem I have with Reva is she just looks too nice. She's not intimidating at all. The rest of the Inquisitors look like Pinhead from Hellraiser's sidekicks, while Reva looked like she's pouting because you wouldn't buy her Girl Scout cookies. They probably should have cast someone a little more mean looking. Now, let's get to the continuity issues of the show. There's Reva killing the Grand Inquisitor. Now this is a problem, because the Grand Inquisitor was introduced in the show Star Wars Rebels. And Star Wars Rebels takes place 5 years after the events of Obi-Wan Kenobi series, making the Grand Inquisitor's death impossible. So either the Grand Inquisitor isn't dead, or they've decided the Star Wars cartoons aren't canon anymore. And the big continuity issue in Obi-Wan Kenobi is the Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight. George Lucas has always maintained that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader's fight on the Death Star was the first time they'd seen each other since Mustafar. Now I know this isn't Lucas Star Wars anymore, this is Disney Star Wars. But Kenobi broke in-story canon as well. Remember the line, "When we last met, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Now, in episode 3 of the Kenobi series, it's made clear that Darth Vader is the master, and Obi-Wan is barely in touch with his Force abilities. Having these two fight before their lackluster duel on the Death Star cheapens that moment and spoils what I know to be continuity. Now I know I said that there were more continuity issues in all the prequels combined, but I ran into a problem. One of my continuity issues was Princess Leia meeting Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought Leia and Obi-Wan meeting contradicted what Leia said in her hologram message. But then I went back and looked, and it turns out I was wrong. It doesn't contradict it at all. Which is an actual plus for Kenobi, because I actually liked the little Leia and the actress that played her. But I undress. I can't comment on the continuities of Clone Wars or Rebels, because I haven't gotten around to watching either of those series. But I can say, the more Star Wars content that Disney produces, the more likelihood that there will be no continuity. So with Obi-Wan Kenobi being the last straw, I am hereby declaring that I'm done with Disney Star Wars. Except for The Mandalorian, of course. I'll stick with the books, where there was a Kenobi adventure set in the same time period, but didn't break canon at all. And it was great. The story of a warrior who didn't have any more war to fight, just had to sit and watch a little boy grow up, and the restlessness he felt. It was a fantastic story. The books also had better Mandalorians, and a Luke Skywalker, who was a powerful Jedi Master, not a weird hermit. Authors that wrote for Lucasfilm were forced to stay within canon, and they did a great job, mostly. At some point in life, you've got to protect what you've got and stop reaching out for new things. I'm going to stick with George Lucas's 6 movies for my canon. That and the Legends book series. And with that, I'll wave goodbye to Disney Star Wars. That is, until Season 3 of The Mandalorian comes out. I don't have much continuity when it comes to my convictions,